President Biden saying that officials are now investigating whether there is a link between the deadly terror attack in New Orleans and the Tesla Cybertruck explosion that happened outside of Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. This is some new video of that explosion. You see it there outside the Trump Hotel. The driver of that vehicle was killed. 7 others were injured. And we now know that that Cybertruck was rented in Colorado.
We are learning from our John Miller that according to multiple law enforcement officers, this person who died in this attack, the driver of the Cybertruck, has a military background. Now, authorities say they do know the name of this driver, but they are not releasing this person's identity until they notify the next of kin. But they did say that this person rented the Cybertruck in Colorado via Turo, drove the Cybertruck down to Las Vegas, and was in Vegas for about an hour before it pulled in front of Trump Tower in the Valet area when that explosion happened. We were able to see video that they released that shows the explosives that were contained inside. Right there you can see the Tesla bed, the Cybertruck bed. And some of those explosives included fireworks, gas tanks, and camping fuel. And all of that was connected to a detonation device that was controlled by the driver. Now, what's incredible that the sheriff pointed out is that the explosion was really contained to the Cybertruck because of the way that the Cybertruck is built. Apparently, the explosion went upwards, not outward, and so none of the glass at the Trump Tower was broken. 7 people were injured with minor injuries, but all of them are okay, and they have been released from the hospital. Now, Las Vegas police believe this was an isolated incident. They are not willing to say at this point that it is connected to the New Orleans incident, but they are investigating. And it is unusual that both drivers did use the Turo app to rent those cars. So obviously this is part of the investigation. We did really receive a statement from Turo tonight that says they're cooperating. They also said that neither of the drivers had a criminal background that would alert them as a security threat. Brianna?
Yeah, lots of questions here. Veronica, thank you for that. With us now, former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. We have former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security Juliette Kayyem and former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis with us. Andy, you have President Biden confirming tonight officials are investigating whether there's a link between these 2 attacks. So we've talked about some of the similarities. What are the things you're looking at that could point in that direction?
Well, so far, Brianna, we have 2 not necessarily relevant similarities, right? We know they both went to the same rental car agency, essentially this online service that facilitates private citizens leasing their own or renting their own cars to people. So they both use that same service. And we know that they both have military backgrounds. But again, these are things that could easily have been coincidence. That's not to say that these 2 events are not related. They wouldn't be investigating that very question if they thought it was something that wasn't possible. And if it turns out, and again, this is a big if because we don't know that at this point, but if it turns out that these 2 individuals knew each other, then we have a very significant issue on our hands here. That points to a conspiracy, coordinated effort that spans a large area, right? 2 very different states. We know the Las Vegas attacker started in Colorado, drove to Las Vegas and detonated that truck there, whereas the New Orleans attacker started in Houston and ended up, of course, in New Orleans to commit his attack. So connecting these 2 would be highly significant, but we are not quite on the verge of doing that at this point. We need a lot more detail to figure out if there are actually any interactions between these 2 people. Law enforcement has many resources, intelligence resources, law enforcement resources at their disposal that they can push against to see if there are any indicators that. I'm sure they're doing exactly that tonight.